All right. Well, welcome everyone. It is great to have everyone on the meeting here, and appreciate you working together to join us kind of this different way. Definitely love Chapin, the people here, and I'm so excited to be able to share some things about branding, helping you build your business in any environment. And I also want to say hello to April Robinson and Jesse Sheely, who partnered with me for the Chapin Neighbors publication. So April is our content coordinator and just handles working with the community and receiving the contents for the magazine. The homeowners are the heroes, and she makes that possible. And then Jessie Sheely is our photographer. She does an amazing photo shoot with the families each month and puts them on the cover, makes them feel like rock stars. And a big shout out to you all for that. So thank you so much again for that. As we talk about the top 5 ways to build your brand, the key here that I'd like you to think about is, what are you doing and what can we do to help you build your brand so that people know who you are and they choose you over others. And really that's my passion there. So as we talk about that, hopefully there'll be some takeaways for you to have and create a strategy for growth. Now, wouldn't it be nice? Come on, wouldn't it be nice if you just cut on like a neon open sign and people just flocked into your business? Wouldn't that be really, really fun? Or if you just open the doors and it guaranteed that the phone would ring and orders would be placed. Well, those are dreams. We got to stop snoozing. We have to understand that in today's marketplace, there are so many different challenges and struggles that we all face. Governmental regulations, nuances of balancing profits and losses, and economic roller coaster rides. And let's not forget, there's some invisible enemy as well that we seem to be facing that's turned the world upside down so much that, I mean, look at this. I've got all this here. My son said I looked like Hugh Hefner the way I was just pushing it back like this, but I haven't made it out to get a haircut yet. But that happens. That definitely happens. And so we know that life has been changed forever, and yet we face these shutdowns and adapted to social distancing. It's been very different than it was a few months ago. And yet, as we navigate these turbulent times, we are so blessed to have the leadership of Rebecca Hines and the Chapin Chamber of Commerce that has really taken us through this and helped us navigate and to learn and to be up to date, and been a constant source of inspiration. So from all of us here at the Chamber, we want to say thank you to Rebecca for that. There's also something else I'd like to say. Something else I'd like to say as well, which is that, yes, we have faced our challenges with the coronavirus, and it has turned our world upside down. And yet I believe that the coronavirus and what we face with this sickness, a medical condition, is not the largest hindrance to our companies growing and becoming more profitable. Think about it. Are you really going to allow a bug to put you out of business? I hope not. I hope not. There's actually something worse than the corona, and that's what we're going to talk about for a few minutes. Now, the world has been disrupted like never before, but the number one problem that we actually face in our business, there's actually something greater than that, and that is obscurity. Obscurity. The number one dilemma facing your company or your nonprofit or your business is not anything new. It's the same problem that you faced when you first opened, that we are all in danger of being obscure to our clients, to our customers, to our community, that either enough people don't know who we are or not the right people know who we are. And so it's obscurity that causes businesses to go under or great ideas not to be acted upon. So to fight this problem, what do? Think about it for a few minutes. We do what we see other companies doing because it looks like it works. We network and we advertise and we market and we create logos and we sing jingles and we hang out on social media for hours, and we tweet and we train employees on customer service. We do everything we can to battle obscurity, and oftentimes these are short-term throwaway approaches. But yet when we do that, what happens is it gives a quick message. And so this is what I call spaghetti marketing. spaghetti marketing, short-term offers, splash to an audience with the goal of having the phone ring, ring, ring. Yeah, I saw your ad. I heard about this. I saw you. I want to call you about this. And that's a tough approach. Now, let's not forget the deals and the coupons that some businesses do as well to attract that budget-friendly buyer that's out there. TV, radio, and billboards, they're expensive. They broadcast to a large audience. And we all hope word of mouth will give us enough referrals. But we also know that good word of mouth, what happens? Well, it travels like molasses, and negative word of mouth travels like wildfire. And so for years, I was in the restaurant business. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on advertising, and people would try to sell me anything that you can imagine. Literally, like someone would once called me to buy ads on the back of grocery carts and grocery receipts. And so these are some neat ideas, but they never really stick. Now, this is called direct response or retail advertising, and some businesses do this. The consumers see a coupon or an offer, and they respond to that discount. Now, some companies also use loss leaders, and they try to attract clients with that. Now, what happens there is there's no brand loyalty. And what I mean by that is if a company can get it cheaper today from someone else, they'll go there. And when your company has it on sale or at a special or at a discount, they'll choose you on that day. So there's no brand loyalty. I mean, think about it. We've all thrown away coupons or scrolled past things on the internet that didn't apply to us. Because when you do direct response advertising or retail advertising, the person that it goes to has to be in the market for what you're offering. That's very key to remember. And for many businesses, what happens is we get frustrated. You know, we try this, we try that, we think there's a better way, and we just shrug our shoulders and we want to give up in frustration. And oftentimes, what happens there is we just hope that people are going to learn about us. But hope is not effective marketing strategy. In fact, the U.S. Small Business Association suggests that within your first year, that you can that new businesses actually spend up to 20% in marketing branding during their first year. And then it drops down for established companies from 7 to 8% of gross revenue. Now you might be thinking, well, Daniel, I can't do that right now, or surely you know about what's happening with the virus and how businesses have been affected, and yet we need to understand that effective marketing leads to brand awareness, and so it's only normal for us to want to reach the right community with what we do, and so effective marketing also allows public support. So you might say, I've got enough customers, I don't need to advertise. Well, when you're putting your name out there effectively, which we'll talk about 5 ways to do that, it keeps your customer base. They know that you're loyal to the community and that you're engaged and involved. Just recently, the Institute for Practitioners in Advertising found that back in the 2008 last recession, that brands went dark. They actually stopped advertising. It took them 5 years to recover. That is detrimental to your business's success. So what works? Well, consistent communication with the community at all times proves that you're dominant and reliable. And here's the point where we're going to talk about that branding your business beats obscurity. So our problem is not a virus, our problem is not location, our problem is not anything like that. Our problem in business is obscurity, And as we think about that, we should consider then, how do we destroy that? How do we beat obscurity? By branding. Entrepreneur Magazine states that branding is a marketing practice of creating a name and a design that identifies a product from other products. An effective strategy gives you a major edge in competitive markets. Now, here in Chapin, one company that does an amazing job branding is Blue Lavender. And Mia has just an amazing story. And one of the things that she and I were talking about recently was her branding plan. And in fact, she shared with me that as a teacher, way back when, she found that it takes hearing something at least 7 times for it to stick, right, into long-term memory. Microsoft did studies on audio learning. It says it takes up to 20 times. Now, what Mia does is what she calls a Sweet 16, and she wants to keep her name and her logo and her brand out there 16 times so people see it. And she's involved in the community with the Chapin Junior Women's Club, and she's engaged here as marketing as a grassroots effort. She's worked in so many different ways to engage the community, and as we hit on that, there's some importance for that as well. So when you think about branding beating obscurity, consider as well that branding doesn't just look for a quick result as let me run an ad and get a phone to ring or someone to say, I saw your advertisement. Branding instead is a campaign. It keeps you in front of a community so that when people see your brand, they think a certain thing. And we all have certain brands that applies to as well. When you brand, you understand you don't need, hear this, when you're branding, you understand you don't need and you don't want someone to say, I saw your ad. If you're branding effectively, it's kind of like walking in the snow. You look back and the footprints are gone. Branding is done right, the company grows over time, and you simply drip your message over the community. And as we think about that, another example would be sponsorship of different things. For example, the Chamber of Commerce, whether it be events or meetings, or even the Chamber membership levels that are available. This is a way to sponsor something in the community and to be known for that. Or consider the digital sign outside of the Chamber House here in Chapin. No one sees that sign and just rushes to go buy a house because a realtor happens to be on that sign. What happens is that's an impression that's important because it's awareness. And that's key and just another way to be involved with branding. Branding is a way that gives you an opportunity to show your support for the community. Now, if you look right here on the screen, you'll see this magic bullet. And in fact, I've got it right here in my hand, the magic bullet when it comes to advertising. Here it is right there. Are you ready? It's here, I promise. So, well, let me explain that for just a moment. Procter & Gamble, this huge billion-dollar company, recently did a huge study, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to find the #1 most effective way to market and advertise. They studied for a long time, and when the executives gathered in the boardroom to share their research, jaws dropped. The conclusive research found out that the magic bullet, the #1 way to reach a market, was all the ways. It wasn't just one thing, but it was many things, and building a brand over a long period of time with multiple impressions. So what that means is there's really no magic bullet for advertising. And in fact, oftentimes we look at advertising and we think of a return on investment or an ROI. And we think that we should receive a return on investment. And as I meet with some business owners, we have this conversation, and they think that if they spend $1,000 in marketing or advertising, that they will get $2,000 back. Well, we should all understand that advertising is not an ATM. You can't put $1,000 in and expect to get $1,000 back or $2,000 back. In fact, no other expense in our business do we expect an ROI but advertising. It's very strange. We don't, look up at our lights and say, man, I'm looking for my ROI for my light bill this month, or the cell phones or the phones for your business. We don't expect an ROI, but for that return on investment for advertising, oftentimes people are mistaken. They think that if they spend $10,000 on an advertising campaign in 1 year, they should get $20,000 in return. And yet ROI is not measured by dollars. Return on investment in marketing and branding is actually measured by the strength of your brand. And so I believe that ROI actually stands for recognition is the only intention. And so when you go to market or brand, your point is so that people recognize you, not just so that that phone rings. That happens later. That will occur. Branding your business beats obscurity because it raises recognition. It creates a certain feeling. Now, let's be honest, there are some brand snobs, I bet, on this webinar right now, that we like to choose certain brands. I could buy a cooler at a gas station. I could spend $2 on a styrofoam cooler and it would probably work for a little bit. I could spend $50 for a better one at Walmart, maybe $100 for one on Amazon, or I could spend $400 or $500 for a Yeti cooler and get the Yeti sticker. There's that feeling that comes with it. Yes, there are cheaper options, but we like to drink Maker's Mark. We like to drive the BMW. Branding creates that feeling, and when people see that branded logo at a family-friendly community event, there's a support that comes along with that. So think about that. Are there some brands that you choose? And why is that? Now, there are some brands. I think of, for example, State Farm. We all know, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there because we've been told that over and over and over again, right? We've been hammered with that message. We even know what type of pants Jake at State Farm wears because we've been told that. It's a branded product, and branding beats obscurity every single time because branding creates TOMA, or top of mind awareness. This is a key phrase to know in your business. Top of mind awareness means that you create a need in the customer's mind for you. You create some space there, but your company is just that, present and available. Now think of the last time a friend asked you, where did you want to go out for dinner? Where did you want to eat? You know, maybe they listed a handful of restaurants and you made a choice. Now you probably passed 5 or 6 eateries on the way to the one that you wanted to go to. Now, why is that? Are the other restaurants' food bad? Were there not other options? No, your decision was made based off of top of mind awareness. You remember the last experience you had and you felt a craving, and so you decided to go there. In today's world, there's so much vying for people's attention. Media and the news and social media and different things, which is why we have to be engaged and in front of our market. Think about McDonald's. We all know about the Golden Arches. They really have no need to do any type of advertising, and yet we all know their slogan. We could probably sing it if we wanted to. Many people are those brand snobs because we all choose at times to pay more for things that maybe we could have paid less for. And when you're making a buying decision, thinking about, well, I've never heard of them is not good. A weak brand is just that. And here's how to decide on is branding working or effective or not. Branding is measured by strength. Do people recognize your name and your business? Is it weak or is it strong? So don't buy the lie of snake oil salesmen or people that promise ROI or a certain amount of impressions that aren't really realistic. Let's hear from another business owner here in Chapin. Dr. Ricky Brandon states that if you want your brand to be respected, then you need to deliver a consistent and authentic service, product, and be persistent with it in the community. Recognition is the only importance. It's your return on investment. And that's why there are opportunities in the community to sponsor different events, to be engaged and involved. Think about Coca-Cola for just a minute. They don't need to advertise either. We've all heard the name. We've all had the sodas. We enjoy Coca-Cola, and yet they spend billions of dollars every single year on advertising. Here's the interesting thing too. Coca-Cola understands branding. When they do a billboard, they don't stock up their cooler underneath the billboard with extra Coke because they know that the purpose of that billboard is just to create brand awareness so people have that feeling. How about Budweiser? If I were to ask you to name an American beer, I bet you would say Budweiser. Many people think that's the case. It's the king of beers. Well, it's actually not an American beer. We just feel that it is because Budweiser advertises during times when patriotism is high. They are seen as American beer because they're on the World Series or during the Super Bowl. We feel American when we drink Budweiser. That's exactly how branding works. It beats obscurity and it creates a feeling because people buy based on name recognition and feeling. Consider for a moment how you buy a product. Let's do that. Maybe a soda or a shirt or a service like car repair. There's always someone cheaper to repair your car. There's always someone cheaper than that trusted branded product, but you choose a specific one. So people buy because of name recognition and feeling. So what do people think of? What do people feel when they hear your name. Sozo Fitness and Kara states that brand consistency is key. And it starts with determining your business core values and making sure that your logo and messaging all reflects those. Consistent branding promotes trust in the community and in the business. And this is so key for us all to understand. How do we know a brand? How does that brand build that trust? Through repetition. How do we know a brand? How does that brand build that trust? Through repetition. Should I say it again? I won't, but it's through repetition. That's how we know a brand. That's how we're familiar with them, because we're told of them over and over and over again. So in a few minutes, I'm going to count down those top 5 ways to build your brand, and we're going to look at that. However, before we do that, how about we play a little game? So I'd like to ask 2 people on our webinar, let's see, to maybe unmute their phones and play along with us, let's see, would maybe Nicole and Carrie, are you guys up for this today?
Sure, Daniel.
Let's do it.
Hey, so Nicole and Carrie, now you guys have this amazing Q&A that you do regularly, a Facebook show, right?
Yep.
And you brand it. I love the pictures and everything that you have, and it's so much fun to listen and be a part of. So I thought it'd be kind of fun if we play a game with you right now. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So how are we gonna do it? So like, I'm going to give a slogan, and I'm going to ask you to name the company. And maybe Rebecca, would you mind being our see who is? Maybe you take score, and maybe see who wins or gets it right. How about that? Or okay, you raise it. Are we going to raise your hand, or what are you going to do? You got a bell? What can we do?
Oh, we got paper. We're going to write it.
Okay, you can just shout or something. Okay, so if I were to say, "Be all you can be."
Oh,
Go ahead, just say it.
Army.
Say it. Okay, so she would get that point, just like that. How about that?
This is going to shoot me for not getting
Probably,
I was going to say you're married to someone.
Oh, close.
it's probably easier to say it because I can hear it versus see who
Okay,
wins.
so let's not write it. Let's just say it, and we'll see how you do. Okay, so let's try one for Carrie. So, like a good neighbor.
State Farm is there.
Okay, all right. So now we're good. So
Nancy's over here.
One.
yeah, Nancy knows that one. Okay, so we're ready. So maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's.
Oh.
Oh, it is with Lane. Something like, oh, shoot.
Maybelline?
Maybelline, yeah.
Maybelline.
Yeah. Okay.
Kim was so excited. Kim was so excited. How about this one?
Just so that you know, the window boxes are hilarious. Everyone's like.
All right. Next up, what's in your wallet?
It's a credit card.
Capital One.
Capital One. Okay. Bet you can't eat just one.
Lays.
Okay, we're doing well. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.
That's McDonald's. That's McDonald's.
That's McDonald's. Nicole, come on.
I know.
Okay.
I get the weird ones.
That's all right. Taste the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Skittles.
I already said that one.
I think it was a tie.
You're
I think it was a tie. It keeps going and going.
Energizer Bunny.
Butter.
Nicole got that one. Really close. Energizer. How about when you care enough to send the very best?
Hallmark.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got some brand snobs here.
She spanked me on that one. I wasn't even close. Yeah, good job.
The Breakfast of Champions.
Wheaties.
That's all right.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Verizon.
Nicole was like, I can hear you, Daniel. What are you saying? Just do it.
Nike.
Very good. And how are we doing on the score?
Carrie's
Rebecca?
winning by 1.
Okay, we got one left. This could tie it up.
Oh no.
Live fresh or eat fresh. I'm sorry. Either one. Live fresh or eat fresh. They've used both.
Is it the meal? Oh.
Subway. Subway?
Yeah.
Subway!
Subway. God.
I'm guessing. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what. Okay.
It carries the winner.
Jerry's the winner. Okay,
Good
so
job, Jerry.
Terry, we will have you a wonderful gift card from Jerry at the coffee shelf. I'll be getting that to you. So congratulations. Congratulations. Thanks so much for playing. Now think about this for a minute. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are awesome. We think about these brands. We're told these over and over and over again. We hear about the brand. We hear the logo. And what we learn from this game is there are brands that we all recognize. There are brands that we all choose because branding beats obscurity every single time, and it helps your business. And that's something that we all should remember. And when it comes down to that, when things get tight, some companies want to, and people in management sometimes want to cut their marketing, their advertising budgets. They consider branding or marketing an extra expense. What we found over time and what studies have shown and over history has shown is that companies that double down on their advertising or branding when things get hard come out ahead. It's important to be present, to be around, to let folks know that you aren't going anywhere. Forbes magazine and Harvard Business Review did some studies on this recently, and what they found is that companies that disappear when things get hard lose their share of mind because the bigger companies swoop in and they take all of that attention. And so it's important for us to remember that. Now, we could all agree that we're not Coca-Cola, we're not State Farm, we're not Budweiser, we don't have their budget. So where do we start? How do you build your brand in any environment? Number one, I would just consider that to be out of sight is to be out of mind, which is to be out of business. And you don't want any of those things to happen. Nobody wants that. So there are top 5 ways to build your brand. We're going to finish up with these in the next few minutes. Number 1, define your target market. This is key. Who is your perfect client? If you want to reach tourists, there's a way to do that. If you want to reach homeowners, there's a way to do that. You can blast a message like a fog light that goes out to hundreds or thousands of people, or you can be like a laser and pinpoint directly into a specific targeted group. Think about that. Or also consider this. If you wanted to grow some tomatoes and you had enough water to grow those tomatoes, what would you do? So your water is your budget for advertising. Your water is your budget for advertising, and you want to grow tomatoes. Would you plant 100 tomato plants and water them with just a little bit of water that you have? Or would you plant 5 and water them every day until they grow and grow and grow? Bigger and broader is not always better. And when you think of it that way, you got to make that advertising budget go as far as you can. Finding that target market will help you define exactly who it is you want to reach. Delivering the message in a feel-good way is key. Studies show that where we see a message or hear a message determines how we feel about the brand. You know, companies that advertise on the nightly news, and then it says, 2 people were shot dead in downtown. Eek, that doesn't feel too good. However, if you're able to choose the feeling that you'd like to identify with, you're able to have a step ahead. What is the vehicle for reaching that target market, and how can you reach them in a feel-good way that identifies with the community? This is key when you're considering your branding message. Jerry Caldwell, the coffee shelf, said that modeling your advertising platform to best reach your target customers is key. Worry less about that budget, as we talked about, as a percentage of total revenue. I love this. He says that, you might not know how to market to your brand right away. And for him, what he found out was that his customers began to define his brand for him. And I love this. His brand is great coffee and a great atmosphere with amazing customer service. Branding beats obscurity every single time for your business. The next step, or number 3 for branding is discussing your values and who you support. Here's something we know. People do business with companies that share their values. Partner with a cause or nonprofit group for sponsorship that says who you are and what you agree with. Before you buy from me, branding says, I care about you. Advertising says, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Branding says, I care about you. I'm present in the community. I support you, and I want to do business with you. That's why sponsorship of like little league teams is great, or maybe even the Justin Pepper 5K that's coming up, or the Chamber of Commerce, We Care, different things. Cause marketing works because people want to share their business with companies that share their values. Dan Lang at Fathom Realty shared with me recently. He said how he's coached youth football for a long time and been involved in the community, and he helps with the We Care Center and donate to autism, and he's tried to stay consistent with his branding message. Dan's a retired Marine colonel, and so he likes to say call the colonel in his messaging, as it's easy to remember, and it puts it out there with this brand awareness. So being engaged and being involved in the community is totally key when you are thinking about how do you reach that target market. Number one was define your target market. Number two was deliver your message in a family-friendly, feel-good way. Number three was discuss your support of a local cause. Number four, don't stop, repeat, 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 repeat. Keep it going. I've got 5 kids. That's where the gray hair comes from. And when my kids were young and were learning math and learning what is 2 times 2, we used flashcards to help them. This is key for branding. Using a flashcard, keeping a consistent message, keeping it simple, and maybe keeping it the same for several months and several impressions will help you go very far. Now, if I were to go to my daughter and say, what's 4 times 4, and ask her every day, she might not remember that. But if I were to show her visually 4 times 4 on a flashcard and show it to her again and again and again and again, she's going to get it. Flashcards work. That's the same reason why Coca-Cola has not changed their logo in decades. Branding is a simple, clear message of why your company is special. It's not about what your special is, it's about what is special about you. And when hard economic times happen, branding gives you space to have your voice heard loud and clear if you don't stop. But if you disappear, your customers may think, man, are they out of business? Are they still around? What's happening here? Don't stop with your branding. That's key number 4. Number 5, develop brand ambassadors. Develop brand ambassadors. This is the goal of where you want to be with your brand. And here's something that's interesting about branding. When you buy a branded product, you don't own that brand. That brand owns you because you are the billboard. You are the one sharing that message. You are the one helping it build awareness there. Having brand ambassadors, like people that choose that product in the community that will say, you need to go talk to my friends over here. These folks will help you. They can give you great referrals. We all know Nike because it's all over sports and it's available and it's there and we see it over and over and over again. Just do it. Branding your business beats obscurity. So here's a few things to review. Obscurity is our biggest problem in business. Not enough people know who we are. People buy, though, because of name recognition and feeling. People don't buy what they need. People buy what they want. People don't buy what they can afford. People buy what they want. And so when you create that name recognition and feeling, it makes them want to work with you as you're known as trusted and reliable in the community. ROI stands for recognition is the only intention, keeping your name out there. And it takes time, consistency, and repetition. This is the power of branding. This is how you can build that strategy. Again, number 1 would be define your target market. Number 2, deliver the message in a feel-good, welcome way. Number 3, discuss a cause or something that you support. Number 4, don't stop. And number 5, develop those brand ambassadors, which are so key. Again, I was speaking with Mia recently at Blue Lavender. She was telling me that she's her brand ambassador. She is the one that is always involved in the community and giving someone her card, leaving her cards at restaurants, chatting with the ladies next to her at the nail salon, greeting people at the Publix parking lot, sharing with them that she's the #1 brand ambassador of her business. That's the goal, not just to have one, but to have many of those as you do that. So I'd like for you to think about a strategy to build your brand. And are you reaching your target market with consistency and repetition? That's key. Now, personally, I've found a vehicle that helps companies brand and market to high-end affluent homeowners, connects neighbors so they become friends, and offers sponsorship opportunities for companies. In fact, it's such a powerful opportunity that that's why I launched and partnered with Best Version Media for the Chapin Neighbors publication, which is powered by Best Version Media. We're an award-winning parent company who knows how to build brands. We take this idea that billion-dollar companies have, and we bring it down to a local level because we flipped print on its head. We feature a local family on the cover, and then we fill the pages with social media on the inside. And Chapin Neighbors advertising campaigns, they expose businesses in the right way to a target audience every single month so that those businesses can build that awareness. Now, I know we're running out of time. I could talk for 30 minutes about what we do in our publication. So what I would like to do instead is play a short video that will go into that. So if you will, if you have speakers on your right now, cut them way up and let's watch this video.
There's no sound with this video.
Okay, let's see if we can make this work. Let's try this. Does this work here?
Daniel, do you think it might not be working because you have headphones plugged in?
Because of all their fame, We Do It Media has featured
How
so
about that?
many incredible people. In fact, Grammy Award winners, professional athletes.
Can you hear that?
Mm-mm.
No?
You could hear it for a minute and then it stopped.
I'm sorry? Could you hear that okay?
No, it's not playing. It was.
I could narrate it.
Stopped.
So you couldn't hear it though?
Well, we could hear it for a minute and then it stopped playing.
All
I
right,
didn't
let me
know
try one other
if
thing.
your headphones were plugged in, and sometimes that causes a sound issue.
Okay. Let's see. Let's try one other thing. I appreciate everybody being so patient. One other thing here. Rebecca, if you'll just let me know if you can hear it or not.
In fact, Grammy Award winners,
Can you
professional
hear that?
athletes,
Yes, I
Super
can hear it.
winners, former
This
presidents.
needs to be turned up.
We don't do it because of all their fame. We do it because they're your neighbor.
So
Okay.
it stops right about there.
How's that?
It's not playing.
No?
Mm.
Well, that's okay. We'll go to plan B.
Technical
We can send it
difficulty.
out. Well, everybody loves their neighbor, that's for sure. I could definitely show it to you. Narrate it, but we'll just skip ahead from there. So no problem. Let's see. How about that? Okay. Well, video didn't work, so we'll try that again next time. We'll maybe get that out as an email to everyone. That is definitely no problem there. So the company, again, Best Version Media, we have over 900 publications all over North America. We've come here to Chapin, and it has been an amazing experience to where we take a family that lives here in the community, we place them on the cover of the magazine, and then we help the local businesses brand to their target markets. The pages of the magazine are filled up with articles, stories, photos, recipes from local residents that send in their information, and we're able to share that good news. So it's good news, smiling faces, and then that branded sponsorship for that business. And of course, as I'm able to do that and work with the local companies to help them build their awareness, I would love to answer any questions that anybody has regarding, kind of what we talked about or about the magazine. No problem doing that, and we'll kind of finish up with that. So if you have anything you'd like to share, otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to you to stop the sharing here for you, Rebecca.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to get the magazine, is there a charge for it or a subscription? How does that work?
That's a great question. So that's the neat part, is that we offer a sponsorship opportunity that provides the magazine free to thousands of families in the Chapin area. We go to the homeowners there in Chapin and town limits and several, about 17 different subdivisions. So it is provided free to the community. The advertisers sponsor the magazine and make it possible.
I asked that question because I work for the school district, and we actually have a few communities that are outliers on the Chapin border. So they actually have an IRMO zip code, but they all go to school in Chapin. So I don't know if that's something you would want to consider, those neighborhoods to be
Sure.
on your list.
Absolutely. I'd love to take that offline and get your information.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that.
Speaking of that, are there, I know that you've grown your target homes, I believe, since the magazine has started. Can you kind of give an overview of how many issues you've had come out so far? Because you're relatively new, you've done a great job and you've grown it, right? And haven't you expanded your reach?
We have. So when we started, it was interesting. We called it South Chapin Neighbors the first month because we were going to the south of Chapin and going to those different subdivisions there. And then as we began to grow and expand, we found out, okay, well, we want to hit this pocket and that pocket of different areas and homes. And then also we added all of the homeowners in the town of Chapin as well. And so that was a neat way to be able to reach those homeowners to do that. And so right now it's right at 3,500 families. We also have copies we bring to you at the chamber and the town hall as well to present that. It is mailed. We found that drop distribution, when a company just drops a magazine off at a location, that there's no way to really control who's reading it at that point. And so while you deliver it in the mail is not cheap, it does provide a guarantee of knowing where it's going. Our parent company, we have about 8 magazines in